We're now caught up in a sequence or series of questions. Just as at the beginning of the sutra, the beginning of chapter 2, we have the 108 questions of Mahamiti, it seems like Mahamiti is once again launched into questioning mode. But there's a difference now. I'm going to suggest that these questions are actually rhetorical. They represent a moving away from conventional understanding to what was described in verse 462 as the transcendental knowledge of the Buddha. Transcendental means beyond the worldly, beyond the mundane. And this is where we're going as enlightenment practitioners. So let's have a look at some of these questions. Verse 465. What is that which is born of causation? What is effect? What is cause? Whence the doctrine of duality? Whence does it arise? So it's almost like we're shoveling a lot of stuff behind us here. We're not expecting an answer to these questions. What is that which is born of causation? Well, what is born of causation is our understanding of the world. This causes that. It's our belief in an external world which is born of the notion of causation. It's our belief that there are things in the world and that these things have a history. We believe that the world has been around for a long time. That it's us that come and go within it. We infer this from seeing other people come and go. Some people are born, they live, they die, the world still remains. This is our inference. We assume this is how it is for me here. So what is effect? What is cause? They are actually the means by which we argue and sustain our belief in an external world. Whence the doctrine of duality? Whence does it arise? So where does this doctrine of duality come from? Where does it arise from? Well, the doctrine of duality also comes from this inclination to engage with an external world. We engage with the external world in its own terms. We see it in terms of competing opposites, rich and poor, good and bad, light and dark, enlightened and unenlightened. So again, the doctrine of duality comes from that place that wants to reinforce the belief in an external world. So perhaps the doctrine of duality actually comes from notions of causation. Once you believe that there are causes and effects, you'll see that some effects are desirable and some aren't. In fact, basic Buddhism itself is very much founded in notions of causation or causality. Certain conditions give rise to certain circumstances, certain results. If you change the conditions, you get different results. And this understanding is very firmly rooted in duality. We've got desirable results, we've got undesirable results. And we start working towards desirable results, whether in mundane affairs or in so-called spiritual affairs. So it still arises from that belief in an objective external world. But we're moving along, we're moving beyond that. We move beyond that belief. This is the essence of the teachings. That there is no objective external world. So notions of causation, of cause and effect, of duality, of good and bad, enlightened and unenlightened, we don't bother with them anymore. We just drop them. So this is what this question is doing. It's kind of saying bye-bye to such notions as we become more established in suchness. Now, I mentioned basic Buddhism and the striving for enlightenment. And this is what the next verse refers to, verse 466. Wherefore is the tranquilizing exercise of formlessness, and that of complete extinction. Wherefore the extinction of thoughts, and how is one awakened from it? So the same approach here is being taken to spiritual teachings, particularly with regard to meditation. Wherefore is the tranquilizing exercise of formlessness. What's the point of it? We're talking here about the higher jhanas, the formless jhanas. These are very advanced stages of focused meditation, sometimes described as tranquilizing. The mind becomes tranquil. It's quite a nice thing to work towards. Nothing wrong with it in itself. By all means, practice tranquilizing meditation, samatha meditation. But what's the point of it? It isn't actually going to lead to insight. It's not going to lead to transcendental wisdom. And that of complete extinction, or perhaps complete extinction of the thoughts is being referred to here. But complete extinction, we could also understand this as nirvana. It's a limited understanding of nirvana. The quietening of the mind, the total quietening of the mind. What's the point of this? Wherefore the extinction of thoughts? Why should you want to extinguish thoughts? The mind, the thinking mind, is a tool. It's like wanting to go blind. Extinguish all sights, extinguish all sounds. Why extinguish all thoughts? We use the mind. As enlightenment practitioners, we need to see beyond the mind, beyond our understanding. The mind, our thoughts, are no different from sense perceptions. The question asked here is, how is one awakened from it? So if you can extinguish all thoughts, the point is, how do you actually come back to thinking? But I think that we can take this question in a deeper sense, is how is one awakened from this understanding that there's somehow good to extinguish all thoughts? How do we go beyond this understanding? Well, we go beyond it by coming back to the awareness that is hearing this once again. So we've got a few more verses in this vein, and I'll look at those in the next video.